All right, welcome back to the third episode of the More Than Average podcast, where Josh did not come prepared today with his story to share.
Hey, there's a lot of stories, but some of them I can't exactly talk about at the moment.
Well, that's neither here nor there for the purposes of this conversation. You didn't show up prepared, so now I'm going to put you through gambit of questions, and
lucky me.
Yeah, we'll see how you do.
Is this a truth false multiple choice?
No, because then it's just a guessing game. So then you have like decent odds. It's all going to be long answer questions. Make it as confusing as possible for you.
Hey, they made school easy now, so this should be easy too.
That's some bullshit. But anyway, so in the first episode, you kind of talked a little bit about your background, getting into landscaping. Talked at a high level about your business partner and just kind of how all of that went through the ups and downs there. But I kind of want to just dive into a little more on all of that, like going all the way back. Like, when was it and what was it that made you think, I'm going to try landscaping?
When I was a wee little lad. Even if talking mom was never really wee little. So.
No, but in all seriousness, like, what was it that drew you towards landscaping?
I don't know. I when I was younger, I wasn't allowed to mow lawns till I was a certain age. Parents had restrictions on it. Basically, if you
are, they didn't want you to like cut your foot off or something.
Yeah, literally, because I have an uncle is missing a toe.
Oh well, shit, that's insane.
So I can understand their hesitance on it, because what happens if wee little Joshy over here loses a toe too?
Fair enough.
So I guess there's a hesitance to that, but it is what it is. But there was that. So I guess there's kind of a draw of like, I can't do that. So
kind of made you more interested in it, and then
then the neighbor had, which I started with when I was able to start mowing. She had always had a company come out and mow the grass, and I'd always watch when I was able to watch, and it was just kind of like, it's intriguing. It doesn't take them very long, and it always looks good afterwards.
Yeah.
Well, most of the time.
So it kind of started, like a lot of people, you started out mowing mowing the lawn for the neighbors.
Same difference. You got the same place.
And then from there, like, when was it that you decided, I'm going to make a business out of this? Like, was it just a natural progression? Did you leave and come back to it? Like, what kind of happened there?
There was definitely kind of a natural progression to it. So I started with that same neighbor that had their own care company come out and do everything. She is actually allergic to grass. So she can't be around it. It just kind of, she didn't want to deal with it. And she had her mower in her garage. And that was actually the first mower I started with. Didn't last very long because it was, I don't remember what the amount was for it. I think it was in trade for some mows or something. And it was, I think it lasted maybe half a season, and it just kind of stopped working. Started the way every kid does, is a broom to blow off the grass off the sidewalk, but you're not really blowing it off, obviously. And what is it? All the youngsters probably don't actually know what that is. It's a corded electric trimmer. So you get to haul this 100-foot cord around the yard, plug it into the house, and run around and try to trim with dragging the cord behind you.
Dating yourself there, bro.
Hey. Be nice.
So it kind of started just, doing the work for the neighbors. Kind of graduated to the point then where you just picked up more neighbors, or
I picked up more neighbors. My mom helped me. Basically, we went and put stuff on the computer and printed it out, cut it in half, would put it on mailboxes, put it on doors, talk to neighbors, I had a decent little route going on. I think I had 5, 10 somewhere in there, uh, and just kind of it could progress to there from there. Add a little bit more, and then um, I kind of decided that it was time to do something else. A couple years down the road, I still did the lawns, but I moved more into the construction side. Gotcha. I had a friend, his dad was a general contractor, and we put out flyers. We did um, more or less the pitch work, clean up after everybody, move stuff around. We do stuff here and there, but being younger, there's only so many things you could do.
Mm-hmm.
But it did progress over time.
Yeah.
You get it learn into like the framing and all that other stuff that goes on along with it. And you can dive into it. Kind of like in the first episode, we were talking about I was trying to learn everything I could and kind of soak it all up.
Yeah, that makes sense. So, all right, had grown it to a point where you were just still kind of the neighborhood kid.
Mm-hmm.
In high school, you were still doing that, but decided, okay, I want to do something else, something more like construction related. Then how did that turn from that into going all out into growing a landscaping business to a point where you had 6 trucks, a big shop, and all of that? Like, what brought you back at that point, and how quick were you trying to grow? Like, what was your end goal there?
The end goal ultimately, there's a lot of little stuff in the middle of it that I did. But the end goal was to fund other businesses because I understood it. I grasped the concepts really well. And as you build it up, you kind of work your way out of it was the goal and to move into something else. Detriment to me was that I was going to have one partner, and then I had another partner that pretty much begged to go in business. And I, against my better judgment, decided to go with the other.
Gotcha.
Probably would work better a little bit if I had gone with the first one.
Makes sense.
But we don't actually know that if we would have crossed paths, we could have.
Yeah.
Like, everything happens for a reason.
Exactly.
But you just kind of learn from it and go from that. But I think the biggest problem that we had, because you were saying that there was kind of some frustration there, he had one idea, I had another.
Yep.
And it didn't go.
Yep.
Well together.
So when I met you guys, I mean, you guys were really well established. You guys were doing a lot of project based work, which I think kind of met your goals and kind of what you were looking for in the construction side. Maybe is that kind of like where getting into some of those larger landscaping projects came from, or what drew you to landscaping over lawn care? Was it profit? Was it joy of the work? What kind of made you determine the split in your business of how you wanted to prioritize services?
Well, mowing lawns, a lot of people say there's no money there. There is money there if you do it right.
Yeah.
But it was the whole.
I'll die on that hill.
Well, it also depends on the day, and you can change your opinion depending on the day. But there's definitely money in it.
Yeah, I mean,
like
that's something for me. Like, yes, there's good days and bad, but like, I'm not gonna change my opinion there. If you know your numbers and you have the right systems in place to price effectively and price appropriately, rather than just trying to charge less than whoever your competitor is, you can make a shit ton of money in mowing. Mm-hmm. And it's much more scalable than landscaping and the larger projects. Like, speaking from firsthand experience, if I could go back and do it all over again, I would grow just mowing, just for and aerations. That's it. Get rid of all the projects, because that is now repeatable, recurring revenue that's going to come back year over year and grow with you, rather than having to start at zero every week, every month, every year. It just scales.
And if you get big enough, you can actually sell that.
Yeah.
It is very, very difficult to actually sell a landscape and design company.
Yeah.
because there are no recurring events.
Okay.
So if you
You're
want
only
to,
as good as your sales system at that point.
correct.
Now, it doesn't mean that there's not a place to do landscaping projects as well, in my opinion. But just I feel really strongly that anybody who says that there's not money in mowing just doesn't have the right systems in place in their business. And I'm happy to say that to anyone's face. I'm happy to help them come up with systems that will work for their business too. So, yeah, just saying.
Because what it is it comes down to that they don't want to deal with the customers, which if you don't like the customer the way they're acting, you probably are attracting the wrong customer by something you're doing in the process of getting a customer.
Yep, for sure.
But to answer your question on the landscaping, it is definitely more of a finished project. Like, we just created that. Like changing something that you could have a new build and you put a patio on the back, or you redo all the design of their landscape and you rip out all the stuff that's so overgrown and looks like absolute crap and make something that's beautiful.
Mm.
I think it was the finished product more than anything.
Yeah.
Well, there was money there. It was just the whole, this is the finished product, this is what we did. And I think it's more of a satisfying, someone would probably argue it was ego a little bit, because you mow lawns, you put stripes in it, and same thing, different day, different property. But you don't get to do those all the time.
Yeah. You touched on something there that I want to. I'm going to shift gears a little bit, but also I want to dive deeper on this point. You brought up ego, and I feel like a common theme that I see with pretty much every home service business owner that I'm talking to is they're all focused, or at least the majority of them are focused on the equipment, not on everything else in their business. And I've kind of brought up a couple times now that, like, when I first met you, you guys had 5 or 6 trucks, a dozen mowers, multiple fertilizers, 2 skid steers,
This isn't all work all the time.
7 or 8 trailers. Like, you guys had equipment galore. And so looking back on that now, how much of that was ego and how much of that was out of need and production?
The mowers in particular, because we did not actually, it wasn't as much of the quality as the price of the mower. So we wanted it to always be working. And I'm not going to mention the brand name in particular, but unfortunately, there were times that you can attest to. Is you go out, it worked yesterday, and it won't do jack crap today. So it was more of a necessity of, well, maybe the mower's not going to work today. So probably need to back up. Oh, back up. We'll back up.
I was gonna say, like, I challenge you a little bit on that because of that point right there,
But
right? Like,
that there was
when you were using 2 or 3, like,
yeah, because there were times that you actually had mowers that were different sizes,
yeah,
different things, and different product or properties to fit. And well, I would argue on different days that size mower does matter when it comes down to smaller properties. The 60s are just way too big. So there is definitely something to be said with smaller mower, and moving towards those stand-ons was definitely a big thing on that, because it was fast, it was small.
yeah. So just for context, you had 360s, 252s.
One was broken since the time you met me.
You had 360s.
That thing was
One was broken. You had 252s.
352s.
Okay, 352s.
2 standards on one behind.
So that's 6 mowers right there.
Mm-hmm.
Then you had a 48.
No, we never had 48.
So okay. And then you had 2 36s.
2 36s.
Okay, so that's 8 mowers. So I was right. I was right. Like, yeah. And you guys were running 1 mow crew, and that's it.
1 to 2, yeah.
So, well, you ran 2, 1 day a week? You would run a second?
Well, yeah, it also depends on when. Before you met us, we were running 2 on a regular basis.
Okay,
But it had just that frustration of the with the partner, everything was heading downwards.
gotcha.
So it was definitely scaling down.
Gotcha. Okay. So you at your peak, you were running like 1.5 boat crews. Um, um, but I guess let's look just equipment as a whole. Like, how much of that was ego and how much of it was need? Because, like, okay, the mowers, sure, if you're running 2 crews, maybe you can see, having that many mowers, right? But, um, like, 2 skid steers, a mini skid steer, I forgot to mention that earlier.
And a hunk of junk. Yeah.
And, like, all of the trucks and trailers and all of that kind of stuff. Like, with at your peak, correct me if I'm wrong, you guys were running what, 5 of you total, including you and your partner at that point?
It varied, but yeah, it was somewhere between 5 and 6, probably.
Okay, so like running what, 3 crews at most?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So if you're running like 3 crews, so you've got basically double the equipment. Was it all just like out of an effort to have backups, or like where was that coming from? And like, if you basically said differently, if you could go back and do it all over again, would you do it the same way, or would you simplify? And if you'd simplify, how would you simplify?
Okay. Some of it definitely was ego. Some of it was definitely out of the want to make sure that we can keep running and have production without downtime. Because there was we'd been through used mower after used mower after used mower before we even bought the new mower. So it was definitely a tired of that. So we're gonna buy extra. So there was definitely a side of both. If I go back and do it again, I'd buy probably used walk behinds if I can find an older version, with the older engine. Probably do that all day long because while they're not as fast, they use less fuel and they're easier to maintain. Well, I do like stand-ons because they are faster, but the simplicity of the walk behinds probably would just take the cake, and I would have eliminated the need for small mowers. If you have something that I can't fit, say 48 in, not doing it.
Yeah.
And we were trying to make sure that we just kind of brought density and any kind of size that was needed. We had it would have just been we would have eliminated all the push mowers, would have eliminated all the 36s. If we can't do a 48 in the backyard, we're not doing it. Yeah. So that would have simplified it from that angle. We would have simplified if we did landscape jobs. Say we're doing it again. If we decided to do that, I would have had one skid loader, no mini, and I wouldn't have done snow.
Mm-hmm.
Personally.
Oh, that's just a personal hatred for snow removal that you have for sure.
Well, yeah, because I think you can attest. Get to the second event of snow, and I'm like, that was fun. I'm done.
That is true. That is true. Um, so I think that like some of the things that you touched on there are really interesting, and I want to unpack a couple of them. So the first is like talk about downtime, and I wholeheartedly agree with you. Downtime is one of the most expensive non-factored costs a business can have, because it's not just the cost to repair whatever's broken or the cost of wasted labor to do that. It's also the lost revenue. It's the damaged reputation. It's the, well, you said you were going to be there Thursday this week and you didn't show up until Wednesday the next week. Like, all of those things hurt your brand, hurt your business so much more than a direct dollar value cost. And have dollar value costs that are much higher than people attribute to.
Well, yeah, because if your cost per acquiring client is so you take your CAC and say if it's $100 to get a client, and that customer would have referred 3 of their friends that would have become clients. So you just burned $300 plus the lifetime value of your actual customers that they would have been.
Yeah.
And if they stay for 5 years, times whatever their services is, that's what you just lost.
Right. And that's like, the exponential cost of like getting new business, but I'm even saying like just the overall reputation of being one of the best in your area. And with your existing customers, not even factoring growth of a new customer, but just losing that existing business or having them the next time they're thinking about something else that they want you to do. If you are more full service, if you do have more of those landscaping offerings, maybe they're going to look to one of your competitors because the last time they had you do something, you ended up taking 2 weeks longer than you said, right?
Left that bad taste in their mouth.
Yeah. Maybe they keep you for the simple things because they don't feel like finding someone new. But those bigger projects, if that's what you're looking for, maybe they're going to turn to somebody else, so on and so forth, right? So that was like one aspect of what you said. You also talked about wanting to be basically, I'm paraphrasing here, but basically wanting to be everything to everyone. You were wanting to, go in and maximize route density at the cost of having 4 different size mowers. So you had, 60-inch zero turns, 52-inch stand-ons, 52-inch walk-behinds, 36-inch stand-on, 36-inch walk-behind, and push mowers. Like, you had all these different sizes to accommodate the needs of anybody who wanted your services, rather than saying like, hey, I'm sorry, you don't fit what we can offer. Here's a recommendation for someone who does. And the claim was that like route density was going to overcome that, but instead you picked up maybe an extra 3 to 5 customers in a tight area, but you went and spent an extra $10,000 or $15,000 on equipment to service those handful of small customers. Was it worth it? I don't know. But I think that there's something to be said, especially for guys on the smaller side. Simplify, set the standard for what you offer, and stick to it. You don't have to be everything to everyone, and it's okay to say, no, I can't do that. I'm sorry. Like
the learning curve of doing something new a lot of times outweighs the amount that you make.
Yeah.
The amount of tools you have to go get. Say you're doing mowing, that's all you do, and someone wants you to do gutter cleaning. You don't have a ladder. You have to go buy a $500 ladder. Okay, well, how much did you make on the job? Did you make $300? You didn't even pay for the ladder.
Yeah.
But it's I get what your point is, because there's a valid argument there. When we didn't use what was it? I think I put an hour meter on it because I'm dating myself again. I put a hour meter on one of the walk behinds, 36s. Just didn't have one on there, but I wanted to gauge how many hours we're going on there. I think we put 90 hours on it in 5 years.
Well, I mean, you had that stand on 36 that, like, you put 120 hours on a stand on 36 that you bought brand new in what?
Probably 3 years.
Four or 5. I think it was longer than that.
Was it? I don't remember.
Like
and also I took that to prove a point at one point that like you need a bigger motor, you need a big motor. I had proved a point with 36 and stand on at one point that I could do 20 yards in one day with 36.
Yeah.
And it proved it.
Yeah.
It's doable to do with a little more. And that goes to your point of technically if you have a smaller mower, do you need all the bigger ones?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's multiple ways to look at it, but I think that like the principle that I would follow, and when I started, I had set this standard and then kind of fell away from it, but was that these are the 2 machines that I'm going to offer, and if I can't service a property with these machines, I'm not going to do the work.
It wasn't the 2 mowers that you had. It was a 36-inch stand-on and a 60 sit-down.
Yep.
And I think that's what you're getting at right there. Whereas if I can't use these 2 mowers, then yeah, that's all I got.
Like I had the neighbor of one of my properties. They had a fenced-in backyard, but it was only like a 24-inch wide back gate. And I was like, well, if you want to put in a new back gate, I'd be happy to give you a quote. If you want a quote to put in a new back gate, I'm happy to give you a quote for that too. But otherwise, I can't mow your backyard. So sorry. And, some people may be like, well, but then you can make, double the amount of money in one stop. Yeah, but how much efficiency am I going to lose to go and either string trim that entire backyard where it's going to be lower quality than what I found acceptable, or go buy, now in that case it would have been a push mower, so it wouldn't have been as expensive, but I'm just opening a can of worms, one more piece of equipment to maintain, one more thing to deal with. And like for me, it also came back to like when I started, I really wanted to run out of storage unit. Because I wanted to keep the overhead low. I didn't want to have high recurring monthly expenses. And then as I started to scale and get more into the project side, I needed more equipment, more trailers, more trucks, more all of the things. And it led me to getting more storage. Just like we were talking about for you, right? Like you had 3 times the shop space that I had at your peak. Well, looking at that, you're roughly 3 times the overhead. So how much more lean could your business have been if it was simplified? And I think that that's like a big takeaway.
I could have cut down to you and still run the same amount.
Right. Like,
But because if I had gotten rid of, because we had so much lot space for debris and mulch and everything else.
Mm-hmm. Because you didn't want to go, you were trying to save time and money by not having to go to the yard to dump waste or pick up mulch and all of that. It's like, well, are you saving $1,000 a month in time?
Well, if we had gone down to yours, we would have been saving. What's that? Probably $2,500 a month.
Yeah, roughly.
And well, maybe I could have. You could actually probably try to figure that out, but
well, I mean,
I don't think it actually was as beneficial as I wanted it to be. So
yeah.
I could have not had a skid loader. I could, even though it came in handy. Even though it didn't have very many hours for how many years I had it either.
It's like the utilization thing, right? Like how much are you utilizing the equipment versus paying for it to sit there? And I think like that's overall the point. Is like, um, when you're buying a piece of equipment, if you're buying it to use for a single project or for a short period of time, it's maybe not the best choice to buy it. Renting it as you need it might make more sense. Now, the inverse of that can also be true. Like, for example, I spent a lot of money renting skid loaders all winter long for snow. Side note, if you're doing snow, rent the damn skid loader, don't buy one because you're going to ruin your nice skid loader on salt. But I spent more renting than I would have to buy one. Now, there was value there to me because I didn't want to destroy the nice machine that I paid my hard-earned money for because I bought it, having it sit in a shipping container full of salt for 4 months. Benefit. Pros and cons to evaluate in the process here. How much are you spending versus what are you getting? And what's the trade-off long term? Like, are you going to get the utilization out of this asset? Or is it just another liability that you're adding a monthly payment or a big chunk of cash that you're spending?
Or if you could unpack that a little bit more even, do you network with someone that does something, say, take the snow side out of it all just completely off the table? Because that's a little bit of a little troll underneath the bridge.
Again, your personal feelings of snow removal are really coming out strong, bro.
I don't like the cold, okay?
You don't like the cold, you don't like the snow, you don't like the saving. I mean, wait, what? Hang on, what were we talking about?
Oh, man, when you buy a 24-pack of energy drinks and they're gone in a week, there's a problem.
Yeah, you should probably call your cardiologist about that because I think that's like heart attack level. But okay.
Let's But if you take that off the table, that my dislike of snow. No, I like skiing, snowboarding, and sometimes going out in it. Other than that, I don't want to deal with it. But if you take that off the table, say someone wants you to grade your property when you're doing a redesign of their whole yard. Do you know someone that does grading, that can plant the yard, that can do the sod? You don't need the skid loader. You just make sure that you're making something on the top, or you just hand it over to them and be like, have fun.
Yeah.
Either way, I don't try to be the one-stop shop for everybody, because doing that adds more stress than is probably really needed.
Yeah, I think even more than the added stress is the fact that everything you're doing, you're not doing well. Like you talked about with getting into construction, one of your big priorities and goals was like learn every skill you could and be the best you possibly could at it. And I
And
think,
learn what I'm not good at.
yeah, that too. But like, I think that for both of us, when we tried to be the one-stop shop that could do everything from mowing to digging a 10-foot hole in your backyard to fix drainage that didn't need to be fixed because you wanted to excavate out a basement. That's a story for another day.
Oddly enough, that's exactly where I went with that one.
Yeah.
You said 10-foot hole, and I'm like, oh.
I wonder if I still have the video of Michael getting stuck in that hole.
Poor Michael.
Poor Michael.
Oh.
Teaser for a future episode. Maybe we'll talk about that. But you're trying to be that. There's a difference between being that one-stop shop that does everything on every end of the spectrum, but especially when you're small, you're not doing that with a degree of skill that's as good as you can get from focusing on specific things. Like Andy Frisell talks about, like it doesn't matter what your job is, do the best you possibly can at it. If you're a fry cook at McDonald's, be the best damn fry cook that there is. And I think that when we saw the most success in our businesses is when we got hyper specific on the things that we were really good at and the ways we could help our customers. And it's this. We're having these conversations now, honestly. Like even with what we're doing and the people that we're working with, we have all these ideas of ways that we want to help small businesses and take on more and more, but we can't do it all at once. It's a roadmap that we have to launch over time to be able to help in more and more areas. Because if we try to do it all now, we're going to end up dropping the ball because we don't have the scale to do it with a high degree of proficiency and skill and deliver a truly valuable service that people are willing to pay a premium for and get good results on. And I think that's the same thing here, right? Like if you're everything to everyone, you end up being shit at pretty much all of it.
Well, it's kind of like if you're trying to speak to everybody, half the people don't want to hear you.
Yeah.
So there's no point in really talking to them because they will never hear you.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, what is it? There's been a lot of people that have said it, that if you want to be president, make sure that half the people hate you. But that it functionally that makes the most sense if you can get hyper efficient and really good on one service on top of the advertising and getting to know everybody and putting your name out there. People are going to start talking because of how good you actually are.
Yeah, exactly.
They're going to feel that it doesn't matter if that lawn is more expensive than 5 other competitors. They're like, but this person goes above and beyond to do the best they can. And while we don't always notice that they notice, people are always watching you.
For sure. So we're getting, I don't know, probably around 40 minutes or so.
The people are unhappy hearing us.
I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying it's probably a good point to start to think about wrapping it up. So I think that a question that I would have, I think especially like a lot of the listeners that I think we're probably appealing to, if you were someone in their first 3 to 5 years of business, kind of someone getting started, maybe they took the leap a season or two ago to go full time from being part time. What's the one piece of advice that you would have for them? Something tactical that would help shape the trajectory of their business.
Oddly enough, I think we kind of just touched on it, was be the best you can be at a small number of services. Don't try to be the go-to person just because someone calls and said, I need gutter cleaning, or I need a yard installed, or do you do this? No, I'm sorry, I don't do that. But I can lead you in the right direction if someone can. It's not what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And be known. If you're not known, you can think that you're tired of hearing your ad or seeing your ad or like, man, this isn't working. keep track.
I think the thing I'd add on to that is when you look at, the other side of the coin of only doing a few services, it's the fear of like, oh, well, if I refer them to this person, I'm going to lose them for everything else. Um, I think that comes back to what you were saying about network and the fact that you can develop relationships with competitors. Like, I hate that term so much. When we were in lawn care, like I didn't look at all of the other guys around us as competitors. I looked at there's this massive pie and there's room for us all to be successful
Mm-hmm.
and we can help each other be successful along the way.
Okay.
Guess what? The more transparent I am about how I price and the fact that I'm not the $20 guy, the better it makes the industry as a whole. Because the more of us that get together and communicate directly and openly and transparently about how we're helping our customers, what we're charging, how we're pricing, educating the guys who are just starting out, trying to figure it out, who don't know what they don't know, of how to effectively and profitably price, the better we're making it because the higher we're raising prices overall in the industry in our area.
Mm-hmm.
That makes it more profitable for all of us.
It doesn't matter if it's lawn care, construction, HVAC, electrical, it doesn't matter.
Right.
As long as we're all trying to not be the bottom.
And work together to deliver great service for fair prices for everybody involved, both the customer and us,
Mm-hmm.
and provide a premium experience, there's no reason we can't help each other do that. And guess what? If that means that, hey, I'm an electrician and they want me to add, customer wants me to come in and add 5 new outlets to this wall and they're going to need drywall work to fix it. Well, I'm not going to go become a drywaller to fix their drywall. No, instead, I'm going to call up 5 drywall companies and say, hey, I'm an electrician. I want to refer people to you for drywall work. Do you have availability if I start doing that?
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, you can negotiate back and forth. Maybe they start referring you business, or maybe every drywall job they get, they throw you 20 or 50 or $100, depending on the size of the job. It's a win-win for everybody involved.
Yeah, because you can't be perfect at everything.
Yeah, I think that's great advice and a great takeaway. So even though you showed up completely unprepared,
hey, sometimes unprepared, kids at home. That's just describing. I was gonna say it works out in your favor. No, it doesn't. Occasionally, but most of the time it doesn't.
So awesome, man. Well, thanks for just taking the barrage of questions and giving some good feedback and sharing some of your story.
Always.
Appreciate it, man.